Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. I'm your host with a silent G, Kyle. And as always, joined on this Brazilian boat adventure is my pal Natalie. Hey, Natalie. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm feeling a little slithery, little scaly, little slippery. Any of the I don't know. Hey, everybody. We're talking about snakes tonight. We are talking about 1997's, I'm going to say bona fide classic
Oh
creature
yeah.
feature at this point,
Yeah.
Anaconda. This movie, it's something else, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Hmm.
Now, this movie is directed by Luis Llosa. It's got the two L's, so is it Luis Llosa? I'm not sure. Written
Yeah,
by
say the wrong
Hans
person.
Bauer. Yeah. Written by Hans Bauer, Jim Cash, Jack Epps Jr., and fuck, this ensemble cast
Oh,
is
it's so
just top to
good.
bottom so
Hmm.
good. I can't think. Okay, granted, I have not thought about it until right now, but I just, man, like an ensemble in a sci-fi horror movie, I can't think of a better one than this one, at least in the 90s,
Ooh.
right? Ugh.
Off the top of my head, no. This one's pretty fucking fire.
Yeah, like sometimes you look out and you get like, a Sam Neill and a Mira Sorvino and a Sam Jackson, as a part
Yeah.
of your cast of characters, but
Hmm.
fuck, you've got Jennifer Lopez. You're frankly killing it in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, you are, well, of the two of us, you are definitely the Jennifer Lopez expert of this group.
Expert
N-
feels like a strong word.
Now, where is J-Lo on on her career trajectory at this point? Now, this is after In Living Color, and this is
Hmm.
after Selena, right?
Hmm.
What music had she released up until this point?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I actually think this was kind of close to when she released her first album. So, because her first album did come out, I want to say in 1997 or 1998.
Right
And
about that
it's,
time.
yeah, so it would have been probably after this, because this is still really early fame for her. But for the record, I did watch her on In Living Color, like with my mom at night. We used to watch it. Like, so I've been watching her since the beginning, and this was like really early fame for her. So, like, this might actually be some of her best acting, honestly.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
The Cell.
Yeah, I've seen that. She is in some genre stuff. Good for her.
Hmm.
And I don't think I've seen any of the like rom-coms. I think there was also that there was like a 5, 6 year span where like it was like her and Matthew McConaughey or some shit like always popping up in these rom-coms where like there's the maid one.
Made in Manhattan, which I love. I
Yeah,
love
and
that
then
movie.
then the wedding planner, right?
I love The Wedding Planner.
I haven't seen them, but I know them.
Yeah.
Now, not only do you have one musician turned actor,
Mm.
damn, you got two. You got Ice Cube.
Hmm.
Um, I would love to give him an industry legend award, but I'm sorry, I just can't do that for a Dodger fan. So
Oh my gosh.
sorry, Ice Cube.
He is a Dodger fan, but that's
That would
his
be
only
Dodger loving,
flaw.
and I can't condone it. I'm sorry. Go
Wow.
Padres. Um, even though he has said some very correct things about San Diego sports, so it's not like he's wrong. Um, if anything, he just, like as an LA native, especially when it comes to teams that LA has stolen from San Diego, cough the Clippers, cough the Chargers, like he's always like, come to LA, no one gives a fuck about the Clippers or Chargers. Have them back, San Diego. We don't want you.
Yeah.
And I agree, give them back. So you've got Jon Voight, who is probably most, I don't know, the most remembered part of this movie outside
Yeah,
of the snake itself is
he's
probably
at
him.
like he's at like a 10 plus this whole movie.
Um, a very popular thing in the a recent addition to the cultural zeitgeist, I suppose, is I never saw it, but that Wolverine and Deadpool movie, I guess
Mm.
Channing Tatum plays Gambit in it. It has like a very funny
Oh yeah,
Cajun
it's
accent.
good. It's fun. Yeah.
Is I was like, before Channing Tatum's Gambit, we had Jon Voight in this
Yeah.
movie. As far as like, oh, what the fuck Cajun accent that this dude has. And it
Yeah.
is pretty funny. He does turn this up to a 10.
Uh-huh.
He's probably the most memeable part of this movie, especially that it's that
Oh
famous
yeah.
look where he's just like fucking looking like a fucking monster
He
at
looks like
Jennifer
a
Lopez.
creep all the time. Even when he's like staring off into the distance at nothing, he just looks like a creep. Just why are you breathing through your mouth so much?
We've got Eric Stoltz in this movie, and I'll be honest with you, for the longest time, I knew Eric Stoltz best as the guy who wasn't Marty McFly.
Oh, interesting. I remembered him mostly from Pulp Fiction.
Who is he in Pulp Fiction?
He has like a ponytail, I think. He's one of the like one of the I think he's one of the guys. Dang it. I don't fucking remember.
That narrows it down.
I know. I remember his face from Pulp Fiction, but not exactly from where. And then he was also, I pulled up his IMDb because I know I've seen him in other things. He's also in The Butterfly Effect, which we brought up multiple times at this point. But he's also in that, and I don't remember how big his role was in that. But he has a very familiar face, but I mostly know him from this.
You're right. He is in Pulp Fiction for a little bit. And he's also in well, maybe this is why I never remember his face. He was also in that movie Mask with Cher, which is really good. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes.
And that's him. He plays the teenager.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, Eric Stoltz, there you go. You're a good guy.
Yeah, he's a cutie.
Jonathan Hyde, also pretty cool. I mean, I knew him best as a kid from the dual roles he played in Jumanji.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess essentially a Peter Pan nod, which is also doubly weird because Robin Williams also played Peter Pan in a movie.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the idea where like usually like Hook and Wendy's father are played by the same person usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Owen Wilson's in this movie before he like really kind of blew up. I guess
Yeah.
1997 was no, I'm thinking 99 was I forget which year Armageddon came out because he also had a small part in that and died. And this was all before like I mean, I think he had been in Bottle Rocket with Wes Anderson, but before a couple years before Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, I think he was still pretty new, like and not well known at this point.
Let's see if I got Kari Wurer. Hope I did that right. As Denise, and right before we started recording, you reminded me that she is kind of a low-key industry legend too, as far as like
Yeah,
the genre stuff.
I think so.
Um, she shows up in Eight-Legged Freaks, which is like what,
Mhm.
3 years after this. Good for her.
I love that movie. Not gonna lie.
And she was in the Swamp Thing show and Sliders. You mentioned Sliders.
No, and Thinner.
And The Thinner, yes.
Hmm.
And then we got a couple industry legends here. Danny Trejo. We've already talked about him in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Hmm.
He's a bunch of great stuff. Love him. And then also, I'd like to award an industry legend to Frank Welker, who plays the voice of Anaconda.
Which what is the voice of the Anaconda?
I had to listen to it again, and it's a lot of screams.
It sounds like a woman's scream,
Yeah.
like multiple layers of women screaming. So that's why I was really surprised to see a man be behind the voice of the anaconda.
This dude has been playing Fred from Scooby-Doo since its inception, and played Scooby-Doo himself from 2002 on.
Good for him.
Love that. Good for him.
Love
He
him.
was also the voice of Baby Kermit in Muppet Babies, which I'm like, oh, okay,
Aw.
got that reptilian amphibious connection there. Love that too.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, Frank Welker, he's done a bunch of, and also something like, I don't know, some like kind of useless stat where it's like he is like the fourth highest earning actor of all time, but not really because he didn't earn this. But like of all of the productions he's been a part of, if you add up the money all of those movies have made, I don't know. So I mean, it's an IMDb trivia point. That's really as
That's
good as it
fun.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when was the first time you watched this movie?
Oh my gosh. I I did not see this in the theater. I know that. But I definitely saw it as soon as it was out on VHS because my family loves a creature feature. So I guarantee it was one of those things like going out to the video store, renting this movie, and being most of them probably being very disappointed. But I loved it and was obsessed with it. I must have watched this a ton as a kid because I know we had it on VHS after we'd rented it. I was like, this is one that we need to buy and keep forever. So I yeah, a lot of repeat watching. How about you?
Definitely, this was a watch on VHS. I had rented this movie.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. Didn't the VHS like slip box like wasn't it kind of like bumpy and groovy? Like it felt like Snake?
It also had like a I don't know what to call it, like an oil slick or like kind of holographic look to it almost, like
Mm,
very
like
subtle.
those dinosaur watches that they released at the Burger King or some shit for the second Jurassic Park movie. You know which ones I'm talking about?
Not that extreme. Not like where
Oh, okay.
you like where if you shift it, it's a completely different image. Not like
Mm,
that. It was like just a shine to it, like almost like how there's some like snakes that have that. And I remember thinking that was really cool.
this movie didn't win a whole lot of awards, unfortunately. A couple notable ones, though, of course, got nominated for a bunch of Razzie Awards, which
Hmm.
honestly, fuck the Razzies. Get
That's
out of
mean.
here.
I don't like
Yeah,
it.
I think you're already losing when you call out that kind of shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, Now, funny enough, though, this movie was nominated in the 2016 All Deaf Movie Awards. Not like deaf,
Oh.
like hard of hearing, but funny enough, 2016. So,
Yeah. That's interesting.
19 years after this movie comes out, it was the winner, Ice Cube, won for Best Black Survivor in a movie.
I love that. Well, who is he up against? Because there's some good ones out there.
Now, it's an interesting list. So you have Ice-T from Surviving the Game. I guess
Okay.
he's the one that survived the game, I'd assume. I've not seen this movie. The character of Franklin survives the Peanuts movie, like Charlie Brown and Snoopy.
That
I didn't know
shouldn't
anyone's
count. What?
lives were at stake. Um, you've got John Boyega in that first Star Wars movie that he's in. I guess just like again, not a horror movie, but just the
I
fact
just
that he
assumed
didn't
that these would
dies.
all be horror movies.
I would have thought so too, because the last nominee was LL Cool J for Deep Blue Sea, which makes sense. I would have included him.
What about
I,
Taye Diggs in House on Haunted Hill?
or LL Cool J again for Halloween H2O.
Or Raw Digga in 13 Ghosts?
Dang, I'd give it to her maybe.
We've got like we get like what?
Yeah, 100%.
Come on, guys.
So,
Do
yeah,
better.
I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm ready to hop into this movie. How about you?
I'm so ready. I think you're ready to dive into it.
No, thank you. I'm gonna stay on the boat. Thank you. So I would be climbing up in the top with Danny Trejo at that beginning. I probably would have just been like, you know what? Yeah, I probably would have maybe shot myself in the head too. I'm not sure.
It you have to be real hopeless to do that.
I
He
was,
I think he was premature.
I think so too. Especially because, yeah, I mean, like stuff was rumbling a little bit and he climbed to the top. I would have thought that he would, I don't know, there'd be some more shaking on the boat. Somewhere he's like, oh man, I'm gonna fall off if I don't do something right now. He seemed actually kind of safe there at the top, but
I I would not have shot myself in the head until I was looking at that snake face to face, like it's about to strike at me. Like that would have been my final move. If it was anywhere on the boat, I'd be like, maybe it's hunting, some fish or something in the water. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna risk that. But he's looking good. He's looking fit, Danny Trejo, in this
Oh, yeah,
movie.
definitely.
Yeah, you only get a little bit of him.
And this is like, you know, yeah, like not peak Danny Trejo. That would still be coming, but
Hmm.
definitely him showing up and shit. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is to demonstrate there's a really angry snake in these waters, and it's totally down to eat people. Or maybe
Mhm.
not. Maybe the snake was like, "Hey, I'm just hanging around looking for fish." Like, well, I don't know anything's necessarily the anaconda's after him, but it's okay.
I wonder if it would still eat him if he was dead. Like they don't eat dead things, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, I don't know. You have this whole thing where like I don't know, like all this fake trivia at the beginning, right? Where it's saying like, they'll regurgitate out their food, which is like not a thing. It's a very rare thing for them to do.
Hmm.
And they'll just do it like to fuck around for fun and shit. And no, I don't know how petty animals can be. I mean, like, like dolphins will fuck around or like a cat will fuck around with its food
Yeah.
a little bit, but I
I
don't know.
don't think snakes are known for that. And this is a real petty snake, honestly. It it definitely makes some like petty shitty moves. But I did fact check a couple things on that little description in the beginning.
Please tell me some anaconda facts.
So, I have a 9-year-old son. So we've done a lot of reading about snakes. And I tried to see if I could find it in a book, and then I realized that was a complete waste of time and started Googling. So, what I learned is they do not eat humans or even attack humans often, to the point where there's not actually even one recorded death from an anaconda to human.
Right. That
So
is
there's
correct.
that. So this would be like a very, very special and aggressive anaconda.
Well, it's because they put up that makeshift little barrier that they ended up blowing up. It's because that's why there hadn't been any anaconda attacks.
Oh, sure. Sure. Then the plot thickens because my thought process was like having this, recent knowledge of snakes. Like we used to go to the zoo once a week to go watch the snakes eat. And it's really disgusting and depressing. Y'all don't do it. Don't do it. It's so gross. But my son was super into it at the time, so we would do it. But that made led me to believe I was like, wait, they were only feeding them once a week. So how often do these anacondas need to eat? Well, they're big and they eat big prey. They actually can go weeks to months without eating. So again, the frequency of how much this animal is eating is wild, but also the regurgitating, I'm assuming, is what they're using as a way to get around that. But it didn't regurgitate everybody, so not true.
So let me ask though, and one thing I was kind of unsure of is how many anacondas were there in this movie?
Well, the ones that they encounter, there was the small one and then the extra, extra large. Because there was a big difference between that first small anaconda that they kill
Right.
and the other one. So that was presumably a baby.
Dang, it's fucked up.
Yeah. So the other thing that I looked up because I wanted to make sure that this was a real thing were are there actually people who worship or, view anacondas as sacred? And that part is true. Some people, I thought this was interesting. Some people view them as a sort of deity, as like a way to get you into heaven. Like they don't have to kill you, but like they use them as like a symbol for that. But there are that's a thing. So I was surprised. And that's what I learned about anacondas.
So you can say that anaconda don't want none unless it has offerings, hun, to get into heaven.
Okay, that one is really bad.
But I digress. Now we're introduced to J-Lo and Eric Stoltz and Ice Cube and the whole crew.
Mhm.
Um, which you've got Mateo, who is your pretty suspect from the absolute get-go, boat captain.
Yeah, already taking
Yeah.
them on different routes and shit.
You've got Denise, who lets you know that she's the production manager by saying out loud, I'm not the maid, I'm the production manager. And then lets everyone know that Owen Wilson is the sound guy by saying, Hey, sound guy. So that's good to know.
I
To
like
set
that they
that
do
up.
that. Then you like at least know like why the fuck are these people here? Here's their purpose.
I mean, they're a documentary crew, and J-Lo's the director, and Eric Stoltz is, I guess, your knowledge guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your
Well, she calls him a professor.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah, he's doing some
yeah.
research and shit.
He's a professional knowledge guy. That's what professors and doctors are, right?
Sure.
You got Westridge, of course. He's really fun. He shows up. It's
He's the
funny because
best.
they like portray him as this kind of like diva, at the beginning, where he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've got all my suitcases and this and this and this. And you thought he was going to be kind of a fancy boy throughout this movie, but
Mm-hmm.
he actually hardens up quite a bit and
He
even
goes
talks
pretty
about
hard.
like, picking leeches off his scrotum and shit and being like, all right, this dude's been in the shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we were just gonna have to baby him the whole time until he died, but it seemed like he got it all figured out.
Well, and he like clearly he's done like either nature documentaries or like other things like that before. So he's spent
Right.
time in uncomfortable conditions.
So along the way, they're trying to find basically what they think is the best route to this hidden tribe. I don't know what they're going to do once they get there. It does seem pretty like,
Film
I
them
don't know, pretty
without their
presumptuous
consent.
that, yeah, that they're all just going to show up and be like, oh, okay, you can film us. Thank you. We wanted to stay hidden for a purpose. We
Yeah.
really don't want you to visit here, let alone film us and show everyone where
There,
we are.
there's a reason why we hang out in the mist specifically so that people can't fucking see us.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's only a matter of time before Google Maps satellites says like, there they are.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, enjoy it while they can.
Mhm.
Um, so they don't make it very far until we run into Jon Voight, who is,
It's 11 minutes in.
yeah, which is good. Get to it quick.
Yeah, get to it quick because I do think it's interesting though that they set you up with like a few different like just plot points that don't really matter. Like J-Lo and the professor clearly have some sort of history. Like, because it's very much like I missed you and flirting, but like they're clearly not a couple. It's odd that we even
It was,
need that.
yeah, it was really strange because I couldn't tell, like, okay, sure, maybe they're in a relationship, but then also, is this like a secret relationship that they're in? Or was it just, I don't know what the situation is there. And frankly, I don't think we ever needed it.
No, we don't need it. And it also, like, it couldn't have been too secret of a relationship because Ice Cube points out right away when he sees him, he's like, "Oh, I see we're mixing business with pleasure." So like he knows something's going on with them. I mean, it could just be his incredible sense, but you know, it doesn't seem like it's super secret.
I always forget where they mentioned this in the movie, but I know in the Wikipedia it says that they're childhood friends, Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube in this movie. So maybe he knows when the others don't.
They definitely are because he says that they're both from South Central. So
Right. A
he
lot of
like
people from
he
South Central.
well, I mean, he makes it sound like they're like he says something like his girl from South Central, like coming up in the world, some bullshit like that, cheering her on.
Whose idea was it for Ice Cube's first line in the movie to say, "It's a good day"?
Yours, apparently, with your bad jokes tonight.
No, it is. That's the first thing he says in the
No, I
movie.
know. That's what I'm saying. Like
Oh.
you would write something like that.
I would not make him do that. I
I
would
bet he
say
loved it. I bet he fucking ate that shit up.
I'd say, Mr. Jackson, thank you for being here. O'Shea or Ice Cube, whatever would you like me to call you. I'm here because I respect you and I do not want you to do anything that you do not want to do. There's some third wall breaking with him in this movie, and that's not the first time.
Ice Cube is both scary, but also like a big funny softy. Like I've watched countless interviews and things with him, and he's honestly hilarious and very self-aware, and I love it.
Best rapper turned actor?
Mm. For his acting abilities, I would say yes, because this might not be his a prime example, but like he's been in some sillier movies, but I think he's really fun. And he has the Friday movies, which are really fun.
He does really well and like family comedy and Friday comedy as well, and then doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
I feel I always like him, and again, I can't say too much because it's Dodger loving, but I do appreciate him.
It sounds like you're headed towards industry legend, but we'll leave that argument for another time.
I'm not headed that way, but if you want to give that to him, I think so.
I do.
Uh, I'm not allowed to do it. You have to do it.
Oh, okay. Then he totally gets an industry legend award because I love Ice Cube.
So they find where was I now? So they find Jon Voight, who I wonder if he crashed that boat on his own, or he just found some crash boat, or how he even got there, or
Yeah, was
did
that part of the plan?
yeah, like Mateo puts him there. I don't know. And they say, and he's like, all right, well, I'll come back. You hang out here on the boat, and we'll come back, and we'll make it seem like I'm just finding you, whatever. I'm not sure.
Well, we definitely know that Mateo chooses that route to run into him
Right.
intentionally. So we at least know that. Whether or not, like, I guess the boat needed to be crashed for him to be picked up, but then it's like, then what do you need the boat for if you already had a boat? You just need a bigger boat to
I
catch
guess
that
so.
giant anaconda?
I guess so.
Also, speaking of big boats, there are so many people on this boat, and this is the first time that I watched this movie and thought, wait a minute, where's everybody sleeping? Do we all have rooms?
I maybe there. Yeah, I think there's some rooms probably in the bottom,
But like,
and then also some
I
hammocks and such strewn about.
like move like going forward a little bit when the professor is ill in bed and JLo's sitting down next to him in a chair. Like that's not a situation that you would have like in a room in a boat. Like it would probably be like beds stacked on top of beds. So I'm just thinking this must be a much larger boat than it appears to be.
Yeah, you never really get a full walkthrough of the boat. You get just
No.
kind of that front part of it.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know.
It's the most unbelievable part of this movie.
So John Voight's like, "Hey, I'm stranded here. Come help me. Let me onto the boat." Of course, at first they're like, "All right, yeah, let's help you
Hmm.
on." Not even realizing that these people were all doomed from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah. They're kind of like pirates,
He's from Paraguay. He's, just
allegedly.
uh, allegedly. And at first, he's just being a real hoot for the crew.
Yeah.
He's just, you know, catching some fish and having a good time,
Mhm.
talking about, well, I like that he says, like, oh, I collect snakes. And JLo calls him out immediately. She's like, you're a
Hmm.
poacher. And he's like, ah, yeah, yeah, no, 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 no. Poaching is illegal.
Yeah.
That is not what I do.
Yeah. He's absolutely a poacher. Do we think that he actually at some point was a priest?
Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just because he does a lot of like praying, like even when
Yeah.
he's like the ruse like is kind of, dissipating, like he still sticks with it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So that night, while you have some flirtatious bug talk between Eric Stoltz and Jennifer Lopez, um, we see this frankly great scene with this panther and the anaconda.
It's it's a lot.
It's pretty fun. So the anaconda eats the panther, by
Uh-huh.
doing its constricting business, popping
Uh-huh.
its little eye out, which is pretty
Oof,
funny
yeah.
before eating it. Now, I just think like, oh man, how funny it would be on that day of shooting. Because like you're not filming any actors and you've just got this mechanical anaconda, which I think frankly, when you're just showing the anaconda, like the
Hmm.
mechanical one, it looks good.
It
It's
looks
just the CG
great.
looks so
The
bad.
CG
Yeah.
is real rough, but yeah, the actual animatronic Anaconda, is real good and apparently caused a lot of issues on set.
And this mechanical or stuffed,
It's
panther
stuffed.
just just imagine me like, all right, Frank, turn them on and stand back. I'm gonna film. He just turns them on and then just film them just gyrating and shaking together and stuff. And they're like, don't worry, it's gonna look really scary when we add music on top of this. Don't even worry about it. But I did think it was pretty funny.
Yeah, they got that panther from like a KB Toys. Like it's like one of those large stuffed animals that they have that
Yeah.
are supposed to look lifelike. That's exactly what it looks like. They do actually eat animals that big though.
I'm like, how would it not want to eat a person and it can effectively also take down a panther?
Exactly. People would be way easier prey, I would think.
I don't know. I need to re-up my Anaconda facts because I think sometimes, or when I was looking into it, it was like one of these like, no, anacondas don't eat people. They don't live near villages. So I'm just like, well, okay. So that
If
doesn't
they
mean that it
did.
doesn't have the capacity to eat somebody. It just happens not to do that.
Oh,
Given
it
just
absolutely could. They can be like ginormous.
I read some other things saying that anacondas don't regurgitate their food. That's so silly. That's such a myth. Now, while uncommon, they'll regurgitate their food if they're on land and feel threatened, though. So it's
Ah,
silly that it would. But then I'm like, okay, yeah, it was on land and felt threatened, so it regurgitated Jon Voight. So don't say that's silly. You're just saying that, yeah, absolutely, that's something that could happen. So
yeah.
I'm just really suspect. There's a
Well, because
podcast that
sorry,
I've
go ahead.
sure I've brought up before that I need to check out. I should have done before this, but Tooth and Claw. Do you ever listen to that one?
No, but you've mentioned it before, and I
Yeah.
probably should. But yeah, the reason why they regurgitate when they feel threatened is so that they can move quicker. Because if they're full of food that still needs to be like dissolved because they swallow, creatures whole, they have to be able to get their slither on. So they just chuck it up. It's gross.
Boogie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next morning, they reach a fork in the road or fork in the river, so to speak. And Eric Stoltz is like, "All right, y'all, we're going left." Jon Voight's like, "No, no, 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 no. No. I'll save y'all some time." And there's all maybe just might happen to be some snakes up there too.
Mm-hmm. It's a win-win.
Let's go right. Don't even worry about it. And this is your first. Man, he doesn't even give it a whole day, but does wait until the next morning to start trying to
Mm-hmm.
throw his weight around, be like, maybe I can be a captain. Maybe I've got some things
Mm-hmm.
to say. Now, John or Eric Stoltz sees right through his bullshit, especially
Yeah.
because he got the tribes wrong, thinking like, oh no, it's the tribe that you're following. They worship
Mm-hmm.
anacondas and it's this way. And Eric Stoltz is like, yeah, you may know anacondas, but um, I'm an educated white man and I know tribes.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
it's not even like that sits super well, but at least you're like, okay,
He
I'll
knows
give
more than
credit.
Jon Voight.
I want to give him the best intent that he did his studies
Yeah.
and would be able to know like this guy's full of shit. And then also, so
Mm-hmm.
Eric Stoltz is now thinking in the back of his head, I don't think we can trust this guy. This guy might be full of fucking
Mm-hmm.
shit. And then John Voight being like, this is the smartest guy in the room. We need to fucking take him out first.
Yeah, it almost would have been smarter, but and I'll get to an important point here. It would have been smarter for him to just play dumb and go along with Jon Voight telling the story, just so that he thinks they trust him rather than just calling him out immediately. Because a man like that who has a nefarious purpose, like as soon as you call him out, he's going to see you as a threat. And then we get a situation like we did. But here's the thing, fucking academics, he has to do the actually. He can't just leave it. He has to be right. He has to be like, no, no. I have a fucking degree in this. Let me tell you the correct information. Doesn't matter if everyone's life is threatened by it. He has to be fucking right. So I just want to throw that out there to add on top of his fucking white man privilege studying tribes right there.
I can't argue that.
Yep.
The ego of man knows no bounds.
Nope. He was like, I'm gonna put this whole group in danger.
especially when another guy is trying to be an alpha in front of
Uh-huh.
everybody else. Oh
Uh-huh. And
boy.
a lady that you're into as well. Add that
Mm.
element to it.
And he's like thinking like, man, Jon Voight, you're already looking real sexy as fuck. You already got that super hot, whatever accent that is, your
That
spirited
stringy little
fish.
ponytail.
Oh, love it. You got a commitment to the Lord, you know. He's vying for alpha on this boat, which is obviously clearly Eric Stoltz, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So um I just think that I would think on any boat you need to designate like who's in charge, and if that person becomes incapacitated, who's next in charge.
Hmm.
Because I
And
do
they didn't
think
do that.
they didn't do that. One, of course, ideally, you want to lean on Mateo because he's the captain. But
Hmm.
Mateo already looking very suspicious from the get-go. And then also the
Hmm.
way Jon Voight's looking at Mateo, everyone should have just been like, "Hey
Do you
Mateo,
know
what the
each
fuck?
other?
Do you know
Yeah.
this fucker?"
Yeah.
I guess
They
that's funny you know the literal only other person out here.
the long stares that they give each other when like
Yeah.
they first pick him up, like it's almost very like telenovela, like how dramatic it is the way that they look at each other. And they do it throughout, like until Mateo is fucking dead. They are giving these long dramatic looks and expressions. So I I just don't know at what point would you just kick this man off of the boat? We're not there yet, but I would be very suspicious of him.
I, at this point, it would be at least pre-planning how to kick his ass off the boat.
Yes,
Just to
like
have a plan
behind
together.
closed doors, like start, being like, we can't trust this guy. Like,
Yeah,
what's the next village? Let's drop his ass off there.
100%. So that night, we get that boar attack that we think at first might be the
Mm,
anaconda. Mean ass boars out there. Fucking, they'll gut you with them little tusks. And I guess they go for the eyes. Fuck that shit.
they messed up. There are no wild boars in the Amazon.
Oh, well,
I also
fuck.
read
Well,
that.
not any, well, yeah, not anymore because Jon
Not
Voight killed
anymore.
it.
But they do try to fuck in the middle of the night in the rainforest, which, like,
No.
you're horny when, because absolutely not. No, no, no.
Around all those giant bugs. Just go
Ugh.
fuck. You don't. Oh, that's where I'm like, they must not have rooms because otherwise they'd be
No.
like, what are you doing? Go into that room.
You're
She's
gonna
already poorly dressed for any of that.
You're gonna take your
Ugh.
pants off? You're gonna expose your genitals in that environment?
No, it's all
No.
dirty and muddy out there
Ugh.
anyway.
No. I'll wait. Thank you.
Ugh, no. So, they get charged at by a boar. Jon Voight kills it, and he's like, "All right, no more boars in the Amazon." That was the
Food,
that was
food for
that
a
was the
week.
last one. Yeah. The next morning they're cruising on their way, and then you've got the propeller stuck in the rope.
Hmm.
I can't remember if they obviously clearly implied that that was Jon Voight that did that picked the
Well,
rope over and caused that, but maybe.
they don't. They clearly he admits that the wasp is him because he puts it in the mask. But the propeller incident might have just been a happy accident for him.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that worked out. Okay, well,
Yeah.
what's because I mean, I feel like he's planned some of this, but really he kind of rolls with what happens, and then every single
Hmm.
time there's an opening to knock someone out, he
Yeah.
goes for it. And actually, what I like about this movie, and because this is kind of when it starts with the wasp in the mask,
Hmm.
is I don't know, it's fun watching him go through and take out the crew one by one and
Yeah.
start like fucking turning people against one another, getting people's emotions riled up and shit.
There's two villains. Like it's him and the Anaconda as an extra villain.
That's fucking he's the fucking snake, like J Lo says.
Ooh, yeah. I love
Yeah,
that.
love that. So of all people, Eric Stoltz offers to hop in. I still think it shouldn't have been him. And probably you send Mateo after this.
That was a like what do you call it? Hopefully I'm not going to say the wrong thing because it's stupid. Like Uh, like, oh, okay, this is probably the wrong thing, but hopefully you know the right thing off the top of your head. Like what do you call it? Like a dick waving contest? Like a dick swinging? Is that
Oh,
right?
I thought you were gonna just talk about like emergency preparedness. No, what? Oh, so
No, like because he's doing it to like show like, oh, I'm not just brains, like I can do this manly thing too. So he's like it's like a testosterone like competition.
yeah,
But there's
it's
a
a dick
name for
waving,
it.
dick measuring kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah, like it's for sure. Sorry,
Dudes
I
being
didn't know.
dudes. And again, like he couldn't just let it go overriding Jon Voight when making the right turn instead of the left one, or vice versa. I forget. But yeah,
Mhm.
he does need to double down and be like, actually, I'm not even just the smart one, by the way. I'm also a diver. So I'm gonna go down and I'll
Yeah.
take care of your little rudder issue. So
Uh-huh.
there you go.
Yeah.
Fucking again, just the ego gets the best of him. That's why fucking like Jon Voight's like, all right, dude, you go ahead.
Yeah. Where did he get that wasp? Do you think he had it ready or he just like saw it crawling around and was like, perfect. Just gonna
Yeah, he's
pop that right in there.
yeah. I think he like maybe just like keeps it in his mouth, like it's one that he's friends with, and he's
Ew.
got like some sort of like relationship with, a tie to, a bind. I don't know. And maybe just picked it out of the sky and said, "Here you go. I'm gonna use this one."
Yeah, I feel like he had it ready somehow. Like maybe he keeps it like in a little vial or something in his pocket. That feels very villainous.
100%. Yeah, he's
Because he
just
also keeps plastic straws apparently on him as well. Like where did that straw come from?
ugh, none of this was sanitary because
Oh,
Eric Stoltz hops in, of course, in his breathing apparatus mask thing is a wasp, giant ass wasp, a Amazonian jungle wasp.
he had to have
Fucking
felt that crawl into his mouth. Ugh.
oh yeah,
That,
oh starts
oh, that's the
stinging
worst
around,
part.
biting.
Ugh, oh, gross.
That's the worst one. And they pull him out, and then automatically they do kind of like a trach procedure, right?
Yeah.
Where they cut open a hole in his throat, put the straw in there,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously Jon Voight's like, well, let's elect surgery. Let's not let's and what's something we can do to make sure he can't speak for
Uh-huh.
a good amount of the movie.
But he doesn't like just let him die, which is interesting. So he could have just left him for dead, but maybe that was another way to earn trust.
I think so too. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll save your friend. He'll be essentially incapacitated for as long as I
Hmm.
need him to be. And, funny enough, look, hey, I'm not trying to pull a funny one. I'm good. I'm joshing around, not trying to, you know, pull the rug out from under you. But just saying, the best way to go to a hospital, funny enough, is the Anaconda route I was telling y'all about. You want to
Yeah.
do that? And J-Lo's like, God damn it. God damn it. I knew it. God damn it. You are
Yeah.
a piece of shit. You're full of shit. I have
Uh-huh.
no choice. However,
Yeah. Yeah, because she doesn't know.
clearly, technically, it looks like it might be the quicker route, but she
Hmm.
doesn't know that that whole part's been barricaded off because people wanted to keep those anacondas out. So,
Hmm.
so I get it. I think that was like a good enough reason to be like, okay, fuck. I am kind of now essentially the next in line as the
Hmm.
director of the documentary. I would say, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
I would have thought that she would have had more say over Eric Stoltz as far as calling the shots. You know what I mean? Because
Well,
she's the director, but I guess it's like his thing. I don't know. I didn't
he's
understand the hierarchy here.
well, it's like a yes and no because he's giving her the opportunity to direct it, but it's his like area of study, his idea
Right.
to go out there. He's the one finding the tribe. So she's just taking what he's doing and being a part of it because he doesn't have to film it, but he obviously, wants to be congratulated for this. So why not film it?
So, against everybody's better judgment, they had the Anaconda route. And of course, they find that dam, that barricade that I was telling you about to
Mhm.
keep them damn snakes in.
Good
And
one.
then he's like, all right, guys, we got to blow this up. let's do it. Give me 10 minutes. And even though already just Jennifer Love Hewitt, sorry, Jennifer Lopez is like, this is why I wanted to call her J-Lo because I knew I'd fuck that up.
Yeah, yeah.
So J-Lo is already like, God damn it. Okay. All right. Now this is still a bad idea. We should just circle back. He's like, give me 10 minutes. I'm just going to blow this bad boy up. What's the worst that could happen? Don't even worry about it.
Her reactions are one too calm, to be honest. I just think
Yeah.
she really keeps her cool. I'm not buying it. I'm a Puerto Rican woman. She's a Puerto Rican woman. We don't react like that in those circumstances. Like she would have been much more on him, but she's super calm, and he says his choice of words is really fun because he says don't panic, and she's like, I'm not panicking, like I'm just seeing a wall where you said there's like a route. And
Yeah.
then he says, you know, after he says he can blow up the wall, and she's talking about, the ecosystem of the river, which is a totally valid point, obviously. He says, well, if you're feeling sensitive. And I was just like, oh, this dude, he's
Yeah.
already the worst. But like to layer that on top of it when like she's really keeping her cool and being very level-headed considering the circumstances, like he's just such a piece of shit.
So really to none of the audience surprise here. Um, they blow this up, and of course snakes all just start flying through the air,
Ugh,
all landing all over the
no,
boat.
no,
Everyone's covered in snakes. People are
disgusting.
getting bit by little tiny snakes, and turns out this is really the least of our snake concerns, especially.
Ugh,
Um,
I
at
don't like
least it
that at
isn't
all.
that fucking thing that Eric Stoltz was talking about that crawls up your urethra and puts up little spines in your dick. Remember him telling
Oh,
about that? Fuck that noise.
yes. That thing also exists, but there's only like one or two recorded cases of that happening.
One or two more than I'd like to hear.
I
No,
know he's
thank
like,
you.
they got to cut it out.
No.
Oof.
Ugh, no. So,
Like a hot
uh,
dog.
not only are they covered in snakes, but they happen to lose like all of their fuel except for like one drum of fuel all goes
Oh,
into the water.
so bad.
So, Jesus. So now they're like, fuck, well, now we got to find fuel. So they start heading that way. And then this is when we come across Danny Trejo's boat. And they're like,
Hmm.
well, fuck, maybe we should find some fuel there. So
Hmm.
you got Jon Voight, you got Ice Cube, who insists on bringing that large ass camera with him.
Over the
Why?
water. What a financial risk.
Yeah. And Mateo, sorry.
Hmm.
There might be fuel, so we should investigate. Now they come across some weaponry. You also see that there's honestly that very cute, whatever snake
The
contest
newspaper
that they won.
clipping. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like they like have it up on the wall like they're best pals, which is kind of cute. Yeah.
All best pals. I love that shit. It's like I just remember a few dudes go out and catch like a big fish and they all have their take their picture with it and it's however many pounds this, trout was. I don't know. And that was not a very big snake that they were holding, if I remember in that newspaper clipping.
Compared to the snakes that we see in this film, that was like a tiny little guy.
I know. Now they managed to what was in that chest? It was like weaponry, right? And like all the like shit to tranquilize the snake.
It's like his actual like snake hunting gear.
Right. So they're able to get that back onto the boat.
Hmm.
Um, we do get our first actual snake kill, anaconda kill in this movie.
Yeah, it takes 40 minutes for
I
it to
know,
attack
Jesus.
a person, which I think speaks volumes of how much Jon Voight is your villain because you're like halfway through the damn movie before you see the anaconda kill someone.
And sorry, Mateo. It's what you get, bro. Fuck you.
Fucking liar.
Yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
Um, Ice Cube goes back to look, can't find him. And then, but it's funny how I guess I would have, if I were Jon Voight, I would have relied on Mateo a little longer. Like, I granted he
Hmm.
can't control the fact that the anaconda eats Mateo. I get that.
Hmm.
But he's just so like pleased with himself, being like, guess Mateo's dead. Who cares? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's like he was your helper.
yeah, dude, like it's gonna be way harder to figure out the
Hmm.
rest of the situation and take over the ship. you already had the captain on your side, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, whatever. J-Lo says we're staying for Mateo. Jon Voight's just like, yeah, sure, okay, we'll stay here, turn the lights on, whatever. Mateo's
Hmm.
gone. Mateo's dead. Who the fuck cares? I've already
Yeah.
moved on to finding my next little puppet, which is going to be Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Very easily, just
Oh, so easily convinced. I think he's not wrong in just assuming that Mateo is dead. And even, you know, Westridge is even like he's dead. And she's like, if you were out there, wouldn't you want us to wait? And he's like, if I was out there, I'd be fucking dead. And it's true. If you're calling
yeah,
out to him, you know that there's scary things in the jungle. He's dead. You just need to move on. Like, or do you want your boyfriend to be dead? I'd be like, peace out, Mateo. I just met you yesterday.
yeah. They're all still waiting too long. Like I thought this was a matter of life or death trying to get him to a
Yeah,
hospital.
it
So,
is. He could get an infection easily and then go into sepsis. Like he's in the danger zone.
oh, with how dirty that straw was, he
Ugh,
probably is already developing one.
absolutely.
So, Jon Voight's like, hey, by the way, anacondas are here. You want to hunt one while we're here? I mean, I was bringing that up a little bit before, but hey, might still be a good idea. He likes to try to, just carefully just kind of slide that idea back onto the table. Like, hey, what do y'all
Mm-hmm.
feel about? We're here. We're already on the Snake River. Like, I kind of wanted us to be, let's go hunt some snakes. You can get, and I like he's like, you
Make
can
some money.
get some millions of dollars for one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Who's paying for this? And also, you got this idea of how much. Well, I'm curious what the anaconda economy, the anaconda
Oh my
economy
God.
is.
Okay. You got
Get
there.
millions of dollars. I don't know. That seems like a lot, especially one that like is that violent towards people and that clever and that petty and shit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a smart snake and it's okay. So it's not even the biggest one. The one at the end is the biggest one.
Yeah.
But he says catching it alive is like where the money's really at. Where is that snake going once it's caught?
Yeah.
It's gonna stay on the boat with all of you and you just like do you just keep tranquilizing it? Like where is it going? We don't even have enough beds to sleep in. And we're gonna add the 40-foot snake on the
Yeah.
boat. I'd be like, now it's taking up the hammock. What am I supposed to do?
Where am I supposed to sleep? He's on the
Yeah,
hammock.
that's fucked. We're not picking up this snake.
He ate all the monkeys. What are we supposed to eat now? So that night, John Voight's just like, hey, Owen Wilson, want to make some money? Let's do this.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, and he's like about to go to bed with that woman. And he's like, well, no, gosh, let me stay behind and talk to her.
Yeah.
Let me just hear him out and talk to him for a minute. And just like that quickly,
I would have been like, I'm gonna witness this whole conversation then. I'm not going to bed.
I'll be like, Owen Wilson, you're the fucking sound guy, dude. You have no decisions on any of this.
Yeah.
You are just you are not his employer is Jennifer Lopez essentially,
Mm-hmm.
or his
Mm-hmm.
supervisor. You can't be going off just making stray fucking decisions like this. Dude,
No.
especially when he's like, y'all don't understand. Like, my eyes are open. I'm seeing more lucid than I ever have in my life. And what I'm
Yeah.
seeing is anaconda and dollar signs. And I'm like, what is this? Why are you acting like this?
You could never like that would be like just one of us deciding meeting someone who hunts snakes being like, you know what? I could do it too. Yeah, why not?
Do you imagine if both of us were on this adventure and then halfway through I just turned on like, this dude's got a point. Natalie, you're not seeing clearly. We need to go hunt this giant snake. We'll film it. Also, keep in mind, we have someone with a hole in his neck that needs to go to a hospital.
I push your ass in the water.
Owen Wilson's already given up on Eric Stoltz.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
yeah. So he gets everything coming to him as far as I'm
Oh, he
concerned.
sure does.
In the morning, they're shooting monkeys for bait. And, they do their
Terrible.
kind of mutiny situation where I'm
Hmm.
like, even democratically, that would not work because they'd still be outvoted if Owen Wilson and Jon Voight were like, hey, we want to shoot monkeys and feed them anacondas and catch that anaconda. We don't know how, but and or where we're going to take it and how any of
Yeah.
this is going to work, but catching anacondas, that's what we need to do. And I
Hmm.
mean, at this point, I guess, well, you only have Denise, you've got Ice Cube, J Lo. I guess it would be a tie. So, which in that case, I would give the tie-breaking vote to Eric Stoltz if he woke up, or a monkey because the monkey would also vote to be not anaconda food.
But what I'm wondering is because, he won over Gary and, they've taken over the ship. Why didn't he just use his gun in the first place to just pirate the ship and order them around or like leave them for dead somewhere? Like, what purpose do all of these people have for him?
None, really. I mean, especially outside of, I think he was giving them a chance to be like, hey, who wants to be on my team and join
Yeah,
my side?
that's
And
true.
now I'll shoot everybody else. So he gets Owen Wilson on
More
his side.
hands. He might have more hands to like work with it. And then, I mean, he could always kill them afterwards and take all the money for himself.
Wait, hold on. How would it be a 3-3 vote? Mateo's dead. Sorry. That's why you need to save Mateo in case it came to a Democratic vote on this boat.
Yeah, they
I
they
don't
were
know.
not they were not counting votes. It was just like he's willing to join me and I've got the weapons.
Yeah, the gun counts as 5 votes at least,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure.
So that night they're like, all right, guess we're going anaconda fishing.
Ooh,
The anaconda starts showing up, he catches it. Jon
it's
Voight does.
pissed.
It's super pissed, and that's not even the biggest one.
No.
So I'm like, how on earth are they going to get that on there? Again, like you said, they'd have to keep
Yeah.
tranking it over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's so powerful.
Who does who gets the monkey spit back out at them? Is that Owen Wilson?
No, Westridge.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you
that's
really
pretty
think
fun.
he's going to get it in that moment because the monkey gets
Yeah,
spit back at him and they do that like slow motion cut that they're like, we're about to do CGI and we don't have any other way of doing it. So we've got to kind of slow things down.
yeah.
And you think that he's going to get it, but he doesn't. Thank goodness because I really enjoy Westridge.
I like Westerns too. Like I said, you thought he was going to be this like diva at the beginning, but he's like, nah, dude, I mean, like, yeah,
He's great.
I'm gonna hold my own, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, he's pretty funny. I like
Yeah.
him a lot. Um, so this snake is flailing all over the place, knocking people down. Now, Denise gets knocked overboard.
Mm.
And well, if there's anything that Owen Wilson might care about more, it's, I guess at least the nice thing he did was at least save her in the end,
I
kind
mean,
of. But
yes, but
he
like
created this whole situation or added a lot to it.
the the look that Denise is giving him when he's standing there with his gun, like policing the ship, like she's giving him a look like you are never touching me ever again. Like we're fucking done. Like
Yeah.
they are not gonna end up together. So he chose that money over her. So really his only way of maybe getting her back is saving her life. But even then, like you said, he created this mess or helped create this mess. So like you're done, man. So I guess it was nice that he tried to save her, but too little too late.
100%. So he manages to get her out of the boat, but as he's climbing out, bam, Anaconda gets him, crushes his
Mhm.
dumb ass, and eats his dumb ass, and he is dead.
Now, I say this knowing that there is one death that I like a little bit more than this one, but when I was watching it, I wrote down I think Gary has the best death. And it's not because there's not cooler deaths ahead. It's because you get to see everything like really happening and all of them like realize that this is the reality of what this snake can do. And there's just the thought of something constricting you, like even when Jon Voight's character is describing it, like, it breaking your bones and like bursting your veins and all of that. I'm like, that shit is absolutely terrifying. So it's fun to watch it happen to Gary. Um, And then of course that like shot of the snake swimming through the water with the shape of his body and its body is really fun.
He looks like Harrison Ford in like the end of Empire Strikes Back, when he's stuck in the
Yeah, he
carbonite.
does. Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Now at this point, Jon Voight's like, well, fuck, now I got another dead best buddy,
Damn.
dead partner. Um, he is now threatening everybody and has completely
Hmm.
taken over this ship.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in charge. Westridge. Thank God Westridge also knows how to drive a boat because he's been driving the boat.
Oh. Hmm.
Thank God he teaches Ice Cube because
Yeah. Smart. You gotta keep teaching people how. Like everybody on the boat needs to know how now.
yeah, even though it's like seemed pretty easy when he was explaining it to Ice Cube, just like, oh yeah, dude,
Yeah.
press this way to go forward, press this way to go back, and
Yeah.
you
And
got a
it's a
wheel.
slow boat. Like it's not like it's super fast or anything.
Right. So again, Jon Voight's completely in charge of this boat, but at least the others know, like, okay, this we can't just like bow to this guy. Like, we have to try something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Jennifer Lopez is like, I'm gonna use my feminine wiles. I can try this.
Oof.
This is a pretty funny scene. Of course,
It
he's being
is.
a real creep. Of course, she's all trying to do her thing, being like, oh, I just maybe you could protect me. I'm so scared, but I'll direct your movie and make you a hero or some shit or whatever. And he just like openly volunteers. He's like, I've been with a woman in a really, really long time.
He- like the thing is though, I'm like, what kind of horny dumb fuck is gonna fall for this? And then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, like get yourself into a headspace of a man with Jennifer Lopez in front of you. Like,
Yeah,
we're talking like this is a gorgeous woman and she is in a desperate circumstance. So maybe she would stoop that low. So he's like, oh, this is kind of my chance. But when I first saw it, I was just like, dude, you're so dumb for falling for that because they're coming for you from both
I know.
windows.
That was pretty fun. We've got Ice Cube coming out of the closet, hitting him,
Hmm.
and then you got Westridge coming in from behind.
Yeah.
And of course, they fuck up like every horror movie. Ice Cube's like, should I hit him a few more times?
Yep.
Westridge is like, yeah, let's hit him a few more times. And then J-Lo's like, no, we've done enough. Let's just tie him
Hmm.
up. And you're like, oh my God.
Throw him in the water.
I mean, at this
Fuck that
point,
guy.
who is ever gonna know? Now, granted,
No one.
I know what you did last summer. I know how this goes sometimes, but like if you sit him in the back of the boat, I don't know, you shoot him in the head and just kick him off the side end of the boat.
Yep. Something will eat him.
Something's gonna eat him. An anaconda. Well,
An
maybe anaconda won't eat him
anaconda.
because he's dead, but
Yeah.
maybe.
Something will. Fish, maybe even. Like, I think they would be fine. And also it's self-defense. Like, and what
Yeah,
really, one part that we looked over was when he tells Westridge to take his things like inside, and Westridge is like, I'm not your bitch, basically.
yeah,
And he slaps him. He like slaps him several times. That would be enough for me to be like, oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with this golf club. You
yeah.
you're gonna lose some teeth today because disrespect him like that.
We
That's
can
not
let him live and knock all of his fucking teeth out.
you absolutely can. Yeah.
Absolutely, you can. So he's tied up, and for now, at least, they're in some sort of control on this boat.
Hmm.
But you can tell this dude tied up's like fucking scheming and shit. He fucking knows. He's just waiting
He's
for his opening.
he's just making that same weird face that he's been making the whole time. Now he's just tied up doing it. Like it's ugh, so gross.
Like I said, Westridge very helpfully teaches Ice Cube how to drive the boat because Westridge is not going to last for too much longer.
Oh, yeah.
But again, kind of saving the day a little bit, or at least tries to save them a little bit,
Hmm.
just sacrifice himself. Um, so they continue on and then they get stuck. Um, like they hit the bottom of the river. Ice Cube's got a plan. So does Jon Voight. This is
Hmm.
where your issue comes. I just would not trust, as traumatized as Denise is right now, I would not leave her as
No,
the only person on the boat with
no
him
way.
at that moment. I'd be like,
She's a wreck.
yeah, it's, and she also has the ability, she is a very fit woman. She can go out and tie the rope around. So that's why I'd be like,
Hmm.
hey, literally, I would pick any one of the three of Westridge, Ice Cube, or J Lo. Probably in the order of J Lo, then Ice Cube, then Westridge, because Westridge still might be like, no, I want to knock the rest of his teeth out, so maybe this is my opportunity to
Yeah,
do it.
I
So,
absolutely agree with the order of those things. Yeah.
so, but nope, they go with Denise, and that does not work for anybody.
Mm-mm.
She goes rogue and is like, I'm gonna kill you. She has her knife. She like Now, I kind of don't blame her because of like the gnarly um core muscles you would need to like launch yourself up in the air as you're tied sitting down around a pole, to launch
He,
yourself straight up in the air to make sure that your ankles are able to get around her neck as she's standing. So you have to jump like 5 feet in the air at least
he
and take her down.
he is not that fit. I
What is that?
He lifts himself so high up, like a fucking gymnast.
It's so
Like
cartoonish how he just jumps
no
up in the
one
like he's
could do
fucking like
that.
Super Mario or some shit.
You would have to be such a strong individual to be able to pull that off, and I'm just not buying it. It's such a lame death for her.
Yeah, that's such a bummer. Though I do like when her body pops up out of the water
Yes, yes, I
afterwards.
agree.
So, in the meantime, so she's dead. A non-anaconda kill. You then have the anaconda actually showing up, ready to eat some fuckers again. So
Hmm.
they notice, they all start trying to head back to the boat. Westridge, hey, doing his part. He's making noise and being like, come over here. I'm gonna go to land. You guys get back onto the boat. They're able to do that. Even they just jump right back into the water afterwards. Westridge is like, guys, I mean, yeah, obviously I'm probably gonna die here, but don't jump in the
Yeah,
water coming to look for me.
yeah,
Um, damn, Westridge again, he scurries up that cliff like real fast and
yeah,
gets underneath that waterfall.
yeah.
But he's fucked. Man, that's a
Doesn't
bummer.
help.
Mm-mm.
It's a fun kill. I like that it
Yeah,
catches him like midair.
yeah. Pulls him back in, crushes him. That's really
Hmm.
good. So, gosh, they're back onto the boat. And then, of course, the knife that Denise had drops on the ground right next to him. So Jon Voight's able to get that. He starts cutting himself loose. Now he's
Hmm.
fighting with Ice Cube and J-Lo as Westridge is being, well, not eaten because he gets spit back out when they start jumping in after him to find Westridge.
Hmm.
It's a whole fucking thing.
Not to mention the
um,
professor's just been sleeping this whole time. Like they're just going through hell.
yeah.
I love that he's just there sleeping.
So you see that the anaconda spit out Westridge because he's just kind of floating around. He's dead. And then starts going after Ice Cube, who gets stuck. Yeah, Dan, you always thought if Ice Cube survives this, he's going to survive the movie. And
Hmm.
he does,
For
which
sure.
is good.
Yeah.
Um, and you get your first anaconda killed, which is J-Lo shooting this thing in the head fucking multiple
Hmm.
times. She's a good shot.
No one thought that that was the anaconda.
No,
Like,
absolutely
yeah,
not.
there's no way. Like you're like, oh, we're gonna get a mama anaconda.
And then this fight continues with Jon Voight. Everyone's getting their ass kicked. And then, hey, maybe John Stoltz was awake. Comes
Yeah,
up,
just chilling.
gets him with the trank. That's ooh, it was really gross. Oh
Mm,
man, when he gets him with the trank, and then John Voight grabs him and grabs his
no.
throat, and then you see in the
Ooh, you
bandage
see the
all the
blood.
blood coming out of his
Ooh.
throat. Ooh,
That
that was
looks
good.
really good though. Like
Yeah.
it really makes you squirm when you see him grab his neck and that blood starts to go through the gauze. Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's brutal.
Man, they trank him. He falls off the fucking boat, and they're like, "Good riddance, fucker. We're done with you." Though if I had the gun, I would still be like pop, 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 just a few more times in the water just to make sure, or at
Yep.
least, see if shoot him a couple times.
Hmm.
I'm surprised. I don't know how long a reptile trank lasts, but it couldn't have lasted long. Or maybe, I don't know, he's been microdosing with it. So he has some sort of like,
Tolerance.
yeah, like tolerance for it or immunity or whatever, because you would think he would have just drowned in the river with however long it takes, you
Hmm.
know, someone to be underwater when they've just been tranquilized and completely knocked out. But he's up and at him pretty quick again after this,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
they don't know that yet. So we get to our last set piece in this movie where they come across what is this place?
I, as many times as I've seen this movie, I have no idea. Maybe it was a dock at some point, like a station of some kind, because it's got all the fuel. It does have a little dock that you can pull your boat up to. So that's the only thing I could think of, but it looks very much abandoned.
And I don't know if, well, no, I guess all the dust was like the evidence that it was all bone because I guess
Hmm.
the anacondas, sorry, I said anacondas have killed everybody there at some point and now taken it over as their nest because that's when you find all the babies and the giant ass
Yeah,
one.
but like, okay, let's talk about this anaconda poop for a minute because I didn't do research on this, but when he lifts up the dust and he's like, "Oh, like human bones is how it comes out." I was like, it's not just like coming out as dust though. Like it would have to be like wet at some point.
Yeah,
Like it's not just like out of
I don't
them.
I don't really get it. Um,
Yeah, I was like, so I don't understand how that works.
so they come to this place because they're still looking for fuel and it happens to be along the way. I guess they didn't turn around and backtrack. They're still going that same path.
Hmm.
Um, because at this point, I'd be like, okay, I guess we're losing the 2 days. We're circling back.
Yeah, for sure. Too many snakes.
They didn't do that for some reason. Maybe they just thought they were already too deep or past the halfway point, so maybe it's easier to just try to go through, I guess. But
Well, if
you'd
they
think
try
there'd
to
be,
double back with less gas, like they probably figure we know that there's nothing on the other on that side, so we might
that
as
is
well
true.
travel forward.
Good point. Um, they walk around for a little bit and then get ambushed and knocked out by Jon Voight pretty immediately,
Damn him.
pretty conveniently. Man, they wake up all tied up. He's got his fucking buckets of monkey blood.
Oh God, he hates monkeys.
I know. Um, like I said, he's got them all tied up. Not Eric Stoltz. He's still on the boat, mind you.
Hmm.
Which I would think well, if I were Jon Voight, I'd go to the boat first and just
Might as
fucking
well just
kill
kill
Eric
him.
Stoltz,
Yeah,
and
just
and
get
then
rid of
just
him.
go, yeah, like
Yeah.
you asshole, you've done enough.
Yeah.
So again, they're covered with monkey blood because he wants to bring the anaconda there, which I didn't think it had to, because if that's where the anaconda lives and they've got the two people just there, I would have just left them there. But I guess it's funnier and more, embarrassing to pour the monkey blood on them. That's pretty fucked up.
Well, yes, and he wants the anaconda in that very specific spot
Right, so
to
he can
drop
catch them with
that
his little net.
net. Hmm.
So he's trying to catch it, and and he kind of catches it, but of course, like those nets, like those rope nets, like do not hold very well. Because the anaconda's like lashing around and shit. I would have let the anaconda eat them both first to slow it down, and then
Right?
pull the net and get them trapped in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because he traps them in the net with the
Yeah.
anaconda, which would be fucking terrifying.
Yes.
And yeah, so you might as well just let it eat. I guess he probably knows in the back of his mind that it's not going to keep the food down or it's not going to try to eat if it's defending its life. That's the only reason, that's the only thing that saves them.
Yeah.
It's
So,
preoccupied.
and you think if he were such a snake expert, he would have known all of this,
Mm-hmm.
but the snake obviously breaks out of, this contraption, says, "Fuck you, John Voight. I'm going after you, motherfucker."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, doesn't even care about the other two.
Oh yeah. And John Voight tries to like run up the ladder or something. It doesn't work. He fucking eats the shit out of this motherfucker.
Oh, so good.
I like the shot of the from the inside of the snake going in to eat Jon Voight. That was really
Yeah.
good. I like that too.
This is a fun death because you get a lot of really good practical effects. So you have like Jon Voight's face breaking and the bones like popping out, which is just
Yeah.
oof. It like
Ooh,
that's rough. And then, yeah, that shot from the inside of the snake is really fun. Also, just so scary, like that if you're still alive, I mean, you'd suffocate probably pretty quickly, but like he's definitely alive while that thing is swallowing him. And that is pretty brutal. So that's definitely my favorite death, I guess you could say, because he's not super dead yet.
definitely. I think to be underscored by when he's regurgitated back out and he
Yeah.
looks all fucked up and he winks at her.
Is it a wink if you only have one eye?
I guess so. I mean, it depends. You'd
It's
have
a
to ask him
blink, right?
if he's intending to blink,
He looked
then
like
it's a
he was
blink.
intending to wink, though.
Yeah.
So I think it's a wink. But I was just thinking about that. I was like, well, if you only have one eye, then it's really just a blink.
Ice Cube's got a plan again, always with some good ideas.
Yeah.
Um, he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna knock over some of this fuel. Looks like there's plenty of fuel, so let's not blow it all up, but I can knock one over,
Hmm.
set the shit on fire." She's crawling up the ladder to try to get out of like the smokestack or whatever that is.
Hmm.
And the anaconda is coming up and trying to catch her. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna use this pickaxe, hold it in place, pour some gasoline, light this shit up."
It's pretty smart.
It's pretty smart. She is able to get out and is able to get, what she doesn't jump quite yet. She gets over like the edge and is like hanging on to something and then is able to jump off, but it works out.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then this fucking, I mean, it was a good idea. I would have been surprised if the anaconda was still alive, covered in flames, writhing around, then going up after them. I would have been like, look, okay, we all thought that was probably generally a good idea, right? Like we were not
Yeah.
prepared for now a flaming snake whipping around trying to eat us at full strength.
Yeah, if nothing else, you'd think that it would just let itself fall into the water completely to put out the fire.
If it understands exactly what fire is and water puts out fire,
Well, it might not. I mean, no, it's okay. Here's some animal knowledge that I do know. If there is fire, animals run towards water naturally,
okay.
instinctually.
Huh.
So the anaconda, and also it's like it's a water-dwelling fucking son of a bitch. So it's gonna go right into the water.
You would think. So Ice Cube's like, okay, maybe I just made this thing angrier, but it was still a good idea in theory. And also a little bit in practice. So,
Close it down.
so yeah. So, but it goes underwater. They think they've killed it. Just kidding. It pops right back the fuck up
Of
and
course.
is ready to start eating people. But don't worry, Ice Cube's got this. He's like, you know what? Fuck this. Here, give me my fucking pickaxe. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna start the biggest one. He's like, I'm just gonna start fucking just
Hacking at its brain.
hacking into its fucking brain. And that's all it took to kill it. I mean, good on
Hmm.
Ice Cube for killing this fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
I will say this sequence, like when it comes back alive, does drag just a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have hoped they would have been like, hey, we need to go up there and set all those babies on fire.
Yeah.
100%. We need to
We
end
don't know
all
how
of
much
this right now.
longer we're going to be on this fucking river.
100%. Or what you do is you trank all the babies
Oh, and
and
then
put them in
sell
a
those.
crate and then sell those.
Yeah, don't trap the big guys. Trap the little ones. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna grow to be ginormous too if that's their mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Think
That's a
this
great
through.
plan. Yeah. Get that money.
Yeah, why am I bothering with this one? Let's get the baby ones and then we'll just raise
Yeah.
them into big ones and maybe a little more docile. I don't know. So, but as long as, and again, we don't know how many anacondas there are, but at least allegedly the biggest one is dead.
Yeah,
So
definitely that gigantic one.
I think it's like the next day or later that day. Eric Stoltz is like, oh, fuck. I'm okay, but I'm here. I think he can talk a
Hmm.
little bit.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And then like all of a sudden this fucking tribe shows up and they're
They're
just like
probably like,
looking at
what
them.
are y'all doing? We've been looking for you. You're causing a bunch of trouble. You knocked over our dam. We're finding dead snakes, dead people, golf balls. Like, what are you all doing?
Yeah. I wonder if I thought at first they were gonna like start like bowing to them and being like, Ice Cube, you're our new god now because you killed the snake and this and this and this and this.
We've been
Um,
trying to get rid of that thing for years.
100%. So, but that was it. Like they're all just kind of standing there. They just say hi. They don't even say hi. They're just there.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, all right, let's turn this boat around and roll credits.
Well, they said they were going to film them. They said, let me get my
Did they?
camera.
Well,
Yeah.
but and then he
That's why I
doesn't.
was like, you need consent to just
Yeah.
to film these people.
Well, if we've learned anything from a number of movies, when you have professors and shit go out into foreign places and yeah, they'll just film people without their consent. So,
True that. Yeah.
mm, you're just like, okay, that's the end of the movie
Really
now. All right.
abrupt ending.
Very abrupt.
Hmm.
And that's Anaconda.
Yeah, it is.
Jesus. Yeah. Um, there's got to be some good taglines for this movie, right?
Sure. There are four taglines for this movie, and some of them contradict each other. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
You can't scream if you can't breathe. I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But then you've got it's a scream.
Oh, unless it's the anaconda screaming.
That's true. The anaconda screams more than anyone else in this movie.
Industry legend Frank Welker.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, this is after Scream came out, right?
Yeah, it's a year later.
So it feels weird to use It's a Scream.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Okay. And then we go back to a different wording on that. When you can't breathe, you can't scream. So just flip that around.
Eh.
And then my personal favorite, it will take your breath away.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I like that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty fun. So not the worst.
Hmm, not the best.
Not the no, not the
No.
worst, not the best.
Hmm. Boo scores. I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh, okay. I wanted to go first, so I'm glad you said that. I thought a lot about this because I love this movie. I've watched it many, many times. And watching it to record this episode had me look at it in a very different way. And even like looking through the cast, I was like, damn, I enjoy all of these characters for different reasons. And I think this movie is just a good time. Like it's just a fun, silly movie. It's so rewatchable. I think even if you didn't grow up in the 90s, you could watch this movie and know that it's like it's a good example of a good bad movie, if that makes sense. So while I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, I would recommend it to anybody who likes creature features or anyone who likes horror, or if you like campy or like B horror movies, I would recommend this to anyone who fits in those categories. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 for booze.
Very respectable. I hear that.
Yeah.
Man, this cast is fun. Jon Voight is a riot in this.
He really is.
Everybody else holds their own.
Hmm.
Um, I I love the practical effects when they're used. The
True.
CG just looks so terrible in comparison,
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad.
especially just 1997 CG. Like, why are they trying?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, think I would recommend this movie for anybody that wants a creature feature. Um, I think it's silly and makes no sense whatsoever. Um, Not that that's always like how I kind of, curve my grading, but it's good. I think it drags a little bit. I do like that it's not necessarily a horror movie. I mean, nor is it
Hmm.
science fiction by any means, because allegedly it's the idea that this anaconda is a real animal that does all of these things.
Yeah.
Um, I
I would say it's a
like,
horror movie. The way that the
yeah, I mean,
deaths play out and the creature feature aspect of it.
I really love Jon Voight kind of like systematically kind of going through each person in the ship and trying to,
Hmm.
turn people against each other and how to kind of commandeer the ship. I still feel like to get to his end goal, I feel like that the ends did not justify the means because I think the
Yeah.
means were wholly unnecessary in certain points, but it's still a fun movie. It's a great watch.
Hmm.
Um, I very lovingly give this movie a 2.5.
Okay. I think that's totally fair. I went high on mine because I just can't deny my love for this movie. But I think most people would probably land more in the realm of where you did.
There you go. That's all I got on Anaconda. How about you? Have
Yeah, I think that's it.
you seen the
Yeah.
sequels?
So I was looking into the sequels earlier, and I want to say I did watch the second one once, Anacondas, but I do
That's
not recall any of it,
that's the like Blood Orchid one, right?
I guess.
I think so. I think there was like, yeah, it's like Anacondas, even though like why call it Anacondas? I get it's the sequel, but there were already multiple Anacondas in the first one. So I think that's why you got to add that Blood Orchid one because you thought everyone would just you'd lose everybody at that first just
Yeah,
Anacondas. You're like, hold on. Hold on, hold
there
on.
were anacondas.
Yeah. It's like calling the first movie Gremlin and the second one Gremlins, where you're like, hold on, there's multiple Gremlins in the first
Yeah.
Gremlin.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we're gonna call it Gremlins. So, but maybe they didn't want to spoil this movie, they didn't want to spoil it for you because they didn't want you to know that there were multiple anacondas before going into the movie. So they just wanted to say anaconda to make you think
Yep,
there was just the one, which makes
that's
sense.
definitely it's the same thing that happens in Jaws.
Yeah, I mean, but that movie's not called Jaw.
No, I know. Like, well, I
Mhm.
mean, each shark has, isn't it a set of jaws?
Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, jerk.
So dumb. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. Fucking just stay out of the river. Um
Don't go to the
be res
jungle. It's
or
like
at
one
least
of the dangerous fucking places.
just be respectful of the animals that are there. Whether they can
Always.
eat people or not, just be respectful is I
Hmm.
think a good just a good fallback. You know, And
Yeah.
two, after that snake's been all over the place, whipping around the boat and grabbing people and eating people, why is everyone still like sitting that close to the edge of the boat? I'm
That's
like,
true.
stop
I'd
it.
be indoors.
Indoors. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And even then, the snake is like, even when there's
Busting through
open doors,
windows.
it'll bust through windows anyway. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So that's all I got. Just, hey, just be cool. Stay away from snakes.
Yeah. Leave them alone.
Yeah. Three, two, one, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Anaconda. If this episode took your breath away, you can subscribe to our podcast and leave us a 5 boo review on whichever platform you choose to listen. You can find us on Instagram at 321ghostpod and give us a follow. We would love to hear your thoughts on the film. You could shoot an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any thoughts, questions, or recommend a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Next week, we're starting a new month with a new franchise series. Get ready for Child's Play. Thanks again for listening, and remember, don't fuck with the jungle. Or in the jungle. 3, 2, 1, ghost.